Welcome to Wizard Team, a Black magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana, Robyn, and Porshèa embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. Currently, we're reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and today we're discussing Chapter 8.
Previously on Wizard Team. So Amari gets permission from her mom to go to the bureau. So we're off, to see more of the supernatural. She takes these eye drops called True Sight, and then we learn that supernatural beings are all around us. So her neighbor is a witch, like out of, the Wizard of Oz. She's got people on fire, Medusa-like people, like werewolves, or I don't know, some kind of like growling man. Lots of really weird and overwhelming things happening. And then on the way, we find out that like Amari's mom ends up taking out a payday loan to help to pay for like supplies that she'll need while she's at the bureau. We learn that Quentin was a special agent at the bureau. We don't quite know what that means yet, but it's like a little bit more insight into what he was doing. And then we learn that the Bureau does not tolerate any kind of tardiness, and you better have a teleporter and get there right on the at 6:00 on the dot, or else you've used up all of your goodwill. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. But now we're off into the Bureau for real, and we're gonna see like what this whole magical spot is about, because we still don't really know.
Yeah, I also want to like mention, we talked about this in the last episode, that there not only is there a lot that we don't know, there's a lot that Amari doesn't know, and her mother knows none of it. And so we are
Yes,
about to
mother knows
learn
nothing.
a whole bunch more of things that like in the first like 2 or 3 pages, Amari is about to go through a whole host of emotions. She's got this fancy new cell phone. If she cannot call her mama and be like, yo, guess what I just saw, or whatever. So I was thinking about this um in reading kind of, or in what Porshèa was talking about like kind of indoctrination and having the way that these like secrets and things are set up. Or like asking Mari to like kind of pledge allegiance to this new system that she doesn't really know much about. But it also is like, for a kid like Amari, like further isolating her.
Mm-hmm.
And in a time in which like she doesn't know where her brother is, she's really worried about her brother. And her mother is like literally her last familial lifeline, and she's 12, and familial lifelines are like the most important things in her life. Like, this is like a very isolating experience that we're about to read. And I don't know. Again, I already, if it was Robyn and the Night Brothers, I noped out at chapter 7. I probably noped out earlier, but at chapter 7, I put that true sight in my eyes. The next chapter was like the end. Robyn told her mama the end. So I have already noped out. Mari is stronger than me, but like I couldn't help but think about just like how much this is for her to not only take in, but to not have like anyone close to her that she could like download and process with.
Mm.
Let's get on with the show.
Let's go. So we go into the Vanderbilt Hotel, which is super fancy. Lobby's huge. It's like very clearly a space for like the rich and wealthy. And it immediately makes Amari nervous because it reminds her of like her experience at Jefferson. Um, it says like there's a sentence where it says, "I feel like a speck of dust on a beautiful painting." Um, so super sad, and also just like more of that. What's the word? Like just more showing just like the very stark contrast of our world and our society. We're in Atlanta, and so we see one side of Atlanta where, they're struggling to make ends meet. Moms is working all hours of the day and night. Like, she has to take out loans just to get her daughter a cell phone. And then we come into this hotel where it's just like, people
Opulent.
lounging on plush chairs. They've got waiters like, waiting on them. We've got like a string quartet in the lobby. Like, it's just a completely different vibe.
The economic
And
gap.
exactly. And it's also not like, again, kind of talking about like first impressions too. It's like, oh, okay, am I just going into the same like hostile environment that I was just in at school? Where I have to feel like I don't belong and don't fit in, and like, I'm not supposed to be here or something like that.
When we closed off the last chapter, she was already feeling a level of like shyness and timidness with Agent Magnus.
Mm-hmm.
And like just in seeing him after she'd seen him in the brochure, it already like brought up that level of like kind of like shyness a little bit. And so this building is adding intimidation on top of her already being timid. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel for her so much in that. And I just noticed and you saying the name of her school and also the name of this hotel, like the white male capitalism of it all, of like
Oh yeah,
like
Jefferson
how they
100%.
both
Vanderbilt.
made their riches off of like profiting off of like either slave or just like extremely poor wages for labor, like by
Mm-hmm.
underpaying the people that they're pushing to give them the wealth they have. So it very much
Yep.
correlates with like her family's journey and the like journey that she's about to go on and the journey that she has been going through at this school, that's given up, like has all this prestige behind it, but really comes to a place of murkiness, and they're able to build over it with a facade of sparkling clean. So it's really ironic that she says she
Mm-hmm.
feels like a speck of dust in this kind of environment, given that the environment is actually the dirty thing. Like if it were
Yep.
showing the true like aura of it, it would be dirty and she would be clean light thing.
Okay. So then we learn that the hotel is a cover business for the Bureau, used to fund and conceal the organization. Um, it rests on a natural wellspring of magic. Um, so so basically what we're realizing, or not realizing, what we're finding out is like she's not staying in the hotel. She's staying, I guess, under the hotel. Like the bureau itself is not in the actual hotel. So they go to this small hallway marked authorized personnel only. At the end of the hall is a big metal keypad, or big metal door with a keypad. And then Magnus like puts in the code, whatever, opens it, and then there's another door. This one with a combination dial. So then he opens that, and then we get into the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. Um, and like this is the part that I love, because this is like the whimsy, like this is the part we get where it's like, oh, there's just like stuff happening everywhere, and it's like definitely overwhelming but cool at the same time. So there's like this enormous hall filled, there's like a flock of fairies twinkling that wave to her in unison. There's witches zipping overhead on brooms and like throwing black smoke at each other. There's like, what is it? There's oh, I skipped a page. There's like two giants who are having a discussion about the literary merits of Hemingway. And then eventually it turns into like they're like growling at each other and they're about to fight. So it's just like,
Which, can we just talk about the like toxic masculinity of that sentence and like
right.
if you've ever been around like
Not for real.
intellectual boys in college and them talking about Hemingway, and you like in the back of your head it's like all of Hemingway stuff is kind of trash. Like it's not very
I'm
good,
like,
but okay.
I'm literally,
I'm
why
like,
are we
for
so
real,
passionate
bro?
about this?
y'all are lauding, like there
Like,
are
please
classics that I can
relax.
bang with, but like Hemingway is not
one of them.
and
Not one of them. And
You
yet,
know what,
like,
everyone?
I have
You know what, everyone?
witnessed
Or
so
Steinbeck.
many heated debates about Hemingway, in which I'm like,
Yeah. You know that thing where people
why
are
are we
always
doing
like,
this?
write drunk and edit sober? I always think about Hemingway and the fact that he like mostly wrote drunk, and I'm like, nah, I'm not trying to be like that. Like, like I don't want to go out like that because it was not helpful for him, clearly. Um,
It doesn't always work.
so yeah, and it doesn't always work. So then there's also like 3 dripping wet green things with a bunch of eyes. Um, there's just like Amari is overwhelmed, which makes a lot of
I
sense because
cannot
it's all coming at her at one time.
I cannot adequately express to you how completely like I would have been like, you know what? Call my mama.
Just
Call
have her
my
turn
mama.
around.
Like just overstimulated. And like
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
moment like she's like forgets to breathe, but I would have been like, no,
Mm-hmm.
like the full body shutdown. Which like and I like you said,
Yeah.
like this part is like super whimsy and like from the comfort of my room in my onesie.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
reading
it's
this and
fun to
I'm like,
read.
this is great. But put yourself in Amari's shoes and you're like, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
So are you
no.
saying that
But
you would
even
just leave
she's
your
like
brother
that.
missing? You'd be like, I'm not even gonna investigate where my brother is right
Nah,
now. I can't.
like I said last episode, like I'm not gonna like totally give up on my brother, but what is that? It's above me now. I'm telling my mama, somebody else. I am 12.
Like it's above my pay
I do
grade.
not have the range. There are giants arguing over Hemingway. I am out. I have to take a nap. I'm sleepy.
Right.
And we ain't even gotten
Like it's over with.
we ain't gone nowhere and I'm tired. I need a nap. I need a nap.
Yeah. And like, she's feeling that way too, which is understandable. And so I do like the balance of it being like this place is amazing, but also this place is overwhelming and a little bit freaky because what the heck is going on? Um Magnus kind of laughs, but it sound like he laughs in like that. When somebody like has an experience that you already had,
Mm-hmm.
like watching the Red Wedding, like like you had the experience and you were horrified, and now other people are having the experience behind you, and you're laughing because it's like, yeah, me too, but also it's more entertaining when it's already happened to you. Like that's the kind of laugh he gives her. Um, and he's like, we were all a bit shell shocked in the beginning, but you'll get used to it. Um,
I won't because
so
you
he
were
kind of.
calling my mama. I'm going home. Me personally.
Robin's like, nah, give me that memory serum. I'm out.
I'm taking the other, what is it, the blue pill? I'm taking the blue pill.
At this point, he'd be talking to Robin's back. Like he'd be trying to talk to her, and Robin would be
Like, I know
gone.
you get
Like
overwhelmed, but and then she's like, nope, I'm out.
Got
it
a
would be like
glass.
she would. Like it'd be like if they took like a page out of Miss is what her face's name? What is her name? Book, and they had the vanishing powder. Just like, whoop, I'm gone.
Oh,
I
Mrs.
took a pinch of
Walter
that.
dropped the
Yes.
powder and
Yep, you
disappeared.
had that ready.
I'm out.
Yep.
Gone.
Um.
Absolutely not.
So Magnus does give a little bit more context in saying that like the purpose of the bureau is to ensure that there are places like this. So like having safe places for supernatural beings to hang out without glamours or disguises, and just
Fully
kind of
be
like be
themselves.
themselves. Right.
And I
Which
love
is
that
like
for
again, like I
them.
think we discussed this like I don't remember which chapter, but it was a few weeks ago just about like this odd balance of, we've talked a lot about like the secrecy and how it's like really unethical and there's like some systemic problems that need to be dealt with. But then on the other hand, like these people do need a safe space to be. And like they've seen the how the smallest difference can create a whole lot of like problems. Um and so their choice is to stay separate and just stay secret. And so it's like a really interesting dichotomy between the two. I think especially as we get further and we kind of also see what else the system of like the Bureau has created, like what other like what's the word, like injustices and inequalities that it has created. But then at the core of it, it's them just trying to like have this have a way to like exist safely in the world.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? Because
yeah,
like we said earlier, like I definitely understand, like these, it's definitely needed, but it just the way in which it is enforced is problematic.
mm-hmm.
I just think also and as well the way in which people are like the human, I guess, part, like Magnus talks about, like it also feels like the humans are the ones that run the Bureau and are also enforcing the secrecy. I mean, I don't know. Do we consider humans with magical abilities human? I'm confused about that. Like the way that he kind of like distinguishes the categories is a little bit murky to me. But
Well, no, because they say like the known world and like supernatural. So I think that like, and it to me it feels like all humans have magic potential. It's just a matter of whether
okay,
they are either already in that world or if they like, you know what I mean? It's a matter of like whether that
mm-hmm.
potential is unlocked or
Cultivate.
boosted, which I guess
Yeah,
yeah, that's the word.
I just feel like the way
But
in
then there
which
are also other beings who are straight up not human.
right. And my point though is that like it feels like the humans who have magical potential or whatever are the ones that are controlling the Bureau as well. And so there is also there's still this othering of the non-humans, and it's a little bit white saviorish in his explanation of like doing they need their safe spaces and we're here to help protect them as much as we are to protect humans from them. It just feels like yes, but it doesn't need to be like this. There's a better system. I know there is. I know it.
Mm.
Give me
There's definitely a better system.
a couple weeks to sit down in a room and really think it through, and I can come up with a better system.
I gotta figure out how all this actually works. If it wasn't time, if we didn't have to find Quentin, like
right.
if we weren't already on a mission, we need to sit down and think this through.
Think this through.
So yeah, so then they get on this elevator. They get on this elevator, and it speaks. It says, "Welcome to the Bureau, Special Agent Beauregard, Magnus, and trainee Amari Peters. It's so good to see that you've trimmed that hideous beard, Agent Magnus. It was truly becoming an eyesore." So we've got talking elevators with personalities and opinions, and who can hold a conversation, because then Magnus like responds, and Amari's kind of like, "So you're definitely talking to this elevator, right?" The elevator's name is Lucy, and she is not supernatural. She is AI.
I'm out.
Yeah, I know. Robyn is definitely no longer in the building.
Robyn
If
heard.
Mama can't come pick her
Robyn
up,
watched.
she's gonna take the bus.
Robyn watched those Shield episodes with them bots and was like, "Never."
She
Over
said,
with.
"Lucy, I heard Ava. I'm out. I'm gone."
What are those? The like model decoys? What are those called?
Yeah, the life model decoys, and then
LMDs.
Ada, right?
Yeah.
LMDs
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Ada. I'm out.
Ada.
Yeah.
No.
That's fair. Ada was
Your Beyonce on America Has a Problem. No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Not for real. But it is like, yes, the artificial intelligence side, it is something that we've discussed in how the way that they like marry advanced tech with magic, and kind of she's saying like it's whichever works best for the job. They're not really like what's the word, like pressed about which one they use. It's like whichever one is the most efficient, which I think is cool, and the fact that they can kind of exist simultaneously and like together um is dope and will continue to be dope. So Lucy takes them down to the youth dormitories, but on the way we see a bunch of other places. So there's the Department of Supernatural Licenses and Records, which it pretty much is just like, to me, this description, it's like, it's the DMV. It's mad boring and it's the DMV. Like, I was just like, I hate this for y'all. Like, y'all are supernatural, got all these like cool abilities and like things, but you still gotta wait at the DMV.
Bureaucracy gets you every time.
But I love that Amari heard the description for this apartment and still was so curious that she stuck her face up right on the glass to see what was happening over there.
Yeah, she's like, what's going on over here? Because she ain't never had to sit at the Department of Motor Vehicles. So she was like, ooh, licenses and records. And then they keep going down, so they see the Department of. So one thing is, like, I do like that the elevator is like clear, so she actually can see what's on these floors. So there's a Department of Creature Control. There are a bunch of people in plastic suits with fire extinguishers trying to contain this like big snake that breathes fire. And then we get to the Department of Magical Science. So everybody's just floating around. Magnus is like, there's these, he calls them show-offs. And then there's Department of Supernatural Investigations. And then we just keep dropping. Like, more, go further and further down until we get to a floor that looks like a hotel hallway. And now we're at the youth dormitories. There's a tall, muscular woman in army fatigues who comes into view as the door opens, and she salutes Agent Magnus. Bertha is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
She got a lot going on. So before that, sorry, we can keep going, but this woman showed up in army fatigues. Like, this is the military and not.
She gives me
the beer.
Madame Trenchbull from Matilda vibe.
Yes, like, she does give those vibes.
Chop put you or make you eat a huge chocolate cake.
A whole chocolate cake by yourself.
A whole giant chocolate cake.
I don't think she has that much power. I don't think she has enough power to be a Trenchbull.
No, she doesn't, but she just gives those vibes. She definitely vibes, like it feels like she wants. It feels like if she had the power, then that's what she would do instead of just essentially being an RN or RA.
Yeah.
I feel like if you've and like this is probably a cut for people who've watched The Outcast on Amazon, but she reminds me of the I guess it's basically probation officer, but not really, because she's just like their volunteer services officer basically, and she acts like she's like trained to be in the police force because she wants to be part of the police force, but she's not actually part of any kind of enforcement. And so she looks up to the enforcers, but she's not. Yeah, and that's what vibe she gave me, because she's like saluting because he's from the like an agent from the Supernatural Investigations.
Bro was like, I mean,
like take
like
care
he returns the salute, but I don't think it was job. Nobody else saluted this man. Like,
right?
Like, it's just a lot. Like, she's just giving a lot for somebody who's watching some kids. Like, please calm down. So one thing is this is where Agent Magnus and Amari are like, this is where they split up. But before that happens, Amari she's like, wait a second, I wanted to ask you about, well, she gets cut off. And Magnus is like, yeah, I know you want to ask me about your brother, but, all of that is classified and we're not allowed to discuss it with a trainee, which I just personally feel like. And then he's like, it involves extremely dangerous matters you shouldn't concern yourself with. And I'm just like, okay, obviously you don't know this kid, but like, also this is her brother. It's not just like some random person that she is interested in. You can't just be like, it's classified, don't worry about it, about her literal brother. Like, yeah, it just doesn't make much sense at all. And again,
I'm not some like random trainee who wants to the gossip. Like I
glory
actually
or just wants to know things. It's like, yeah.
give me
And
tell
it's
me
again,
what you
it's
know
like
about.
it's the secrets. It's like this place. It's a secret from the world, and then within that are even more secrets and even more things that like just people aren't allowed to know. Which just makes it very sus. I guess is the word.
The best
um,
word for it.
yeah. So Magnus leaves, and then Bertha is no longer smiling. She's in her whatever. She goes, "I don't care who your brother is. I'm your dorm leader, and you will address me as ma'am, and you will like it. Understand?" And you're just like, "Girl, relax." And then she goes. "It's bad enough I have to rearrange things because you've upped and decided to exist." Like I just need her
Not my existence,
to
girl.
turn
Like, oh,
like
my
exist. Are you for real, bro? Please relax. Like, is it really this deep? Like, am I really putting you all the
But
way
let
out?
me,
Did I
but let
just
me
mess
tell
up
you
your
how my
whole?
existence has you
She must be
bothered.
missing like she must be missing a housewives reunion or something, because it's just like a lot of just
But
vitriol
like,
for this child
I would
you
be like,
just
but let me
met.
tell you how entertained I am that my mere existence causes you this much freaking concern. Like, oh my gosh, like all I
I'm
have to
like,
do is
come
breathe,
on.
and your life is rearranged. How unfortunate for you. I'm living
Like,
though.
that's really, it's a lot.
It's a you problem.
It's a
She
lot.
won't tolerate any nonsense. Put one foot out of line and you'll find your stay here a short one. I'm like, ma'am.
Amari said, "Ma'am, this is a Wendy's." What?
Babe, I just walked off the elevator. I don't even know who all is here. I just got off of the
This witch is
Just got
walking
elevator.
here.
around on the thing. Like, I just saw some
This
weird
giant
green creature
stomping
I never seen
upstairs. Go
before.
shit.
Giants fighting over Hemingway, and you worried about me existing? Like, go worry about your
Like,
homegirl
come on.
upstairs shooting fairy dust.
Like,
Like,
woo.
there's bigger fish in the sea,
I'm
It's a
sorry,
whole
y'all. The
snake
name of
up
the
there
TV
breathing
series
fire.
right?
I meant to say that the TV series name is The Outlaws on Amazon Prime, and it has Stephen Merchant in it. I think it's hilarious because I keep forgetting Stephen Merchant's name, and then I look up lanky British actor, and he always comes up, and I'm like, that's all I gotta do is remember
Lanky British
that he's a
actor.
lanky British actor.
He just tall
There's so
and
many of them.
limby, full of
Yeah,
limbs.
but
That's so funny.
he's the prime.
He is
He's
like
the
the
one.
prototypical.
He's the one
He is the lankiest
Yes.
of the lanky British actors.
of them all. The one lanky British
I agree with-
actor to rule them
to
all.
rule them all. I agree with that statement.
He's the prototype of the
That's-
lanky British actor. Just like
That's so funny.
Wizard Team is brought to you by Black Nerds Create, a collective providing content through the lens of critical and creative fandom. If you want to support or partner with B&C on projects like Wizard Team, let's build. Find out how at blacknerdscreate.com/support.
Okay, so Bertha goes to they come to a door, she knocks on the door, there's no answer. She tries again, there's no answer. Then she takes both hands and beats on the door so hard it rattles on its hinges. I just think this woman needs some anger management.
she's extremely
Maybe she
bothered,
shouldn't be around
and she
children.
needs. She's like she's
Yeah.
too bothered.
She
She's
needs some
extremely bothered.
wine. She needs some weed. She probably needs some weed.
She definitely needs
Probably.
weed.
As someone who does not smoke, at all, I think she needs to get high. Because
I don't smoke,
ma'am.
but I do, and I have had an edible from time to time, and ma'am,
Same.
settle them nerves.
Some good
Sometimes
old
you just
stress
need something to
management,
just
you know what I mean?
decompress.
Settle
A
them
bath, a bubble bath,
nerves.
even bath
A massage,
bombs, aromatherapy.
a hand rub.
There are things. We have the technology, Bertha. We can make this work. We can get you together.
Y'all are fixing Bertha's issues with self-care, and I love it.
She needs some meditation. There has got to be in that huge building. There has to be
the
meditation
Calm app.
chambers
Y'all got
somewhere.
phones.
There's a meditation chamber somewhere in that building. Go Wusa.
Go up with the science folks and they just floating in the air. Like, go hang out, see if you can get some of that.
Go float?
Something.
Ooh,
but
I would love to just like float lifeless, like weightlessly in the air.
Yeah, just for a bit. Just no worries. Leave your worries on the floor or something. But
Hakuna Matata.
Anyway,
okay.
the door finally opens.
I'm sorry, she said Hakuna Matata.
She did. It's true. So a lanky girl with light tan skin and curly black hair and thick glasses leans on the doorway yawning. This is Elsie Rodriguez, who is Amari's new roommate. So she kind of is looking at them sleepy, and then she kind of, realizes what's happening, gets excited. It's like, you come in, tell me all about you. Like, she's just real excited and like peppy. Bertha's like, you have an early start tomorrow, which means early bedtime tonight. There'll be plenty of time for bonding tomorrow. Lights out. And so, like, can we first just remember that it's maybe like 6:12?
6:30,
what
perhaps?
time is it? What happened?
Perhaps 6:30.
She just got here. She got here at 6:02. They walked through the hotel lobby, went into the secret door, went down an elevator, and now it's like maybe 6:08. Nah, because what's the name? I would say it was 6:12 because
I was saying it's probably like 6:30
lecturing.
Like 6:30.
I would say it's like 6:30,
6:45.
Because depending on how far that tunnel is in the elevator,
how long
like
the elevator ride was,
it could be 6:30. What I was gonna say is, what kind of caregiver is Bertha? Because she don't even know this child hasn't had dinner yet. This is prime time for it could have had been dinner or not.
Dinner time.
Even inquire, like, do you need a meal sent to you? Because the dining room hours are closed, but we can send you something to eat. She didn't even like check on her. She just like, don't say nothing. Call me, ma'am. Get in this door. Keep your mouth quiet. That's all she did.
Go to bed. That's all.
No kind of concern for her charges.
Pretty sure Bravo prime time is what, 6:00 Eastern? Or no, maybe that's Pacific and it's 9 Eastern. I'm like, she's missed something is happening. She's like, I need to get to my. She has.
It's not the World Cup. Because the World Cup is in the middle of the first off, it's in the middle of the winter. It's fucking me up, and then the first game starts at 2 in the morning. So it can't be. Maybe, but it could be because she's got to go to bed so she can wake up at 2 in the morning to watch the first half. So.
She did say tomorrow's an early start, so maybe it's an early start for her.
Yeah.
She's
you know,
like, I gotta get.
I've been waking up at 2. That 5 o'clock game been watching me, but you know, we try.
So the door slams shut. Amari's like, "What's her problem?" But Elsie has her quiet for a second so that they can wait for Bertha to leave, and then she she lights a green candle. And it's called a Sneakandle, which means that you can't tell if anything's lit unless you're like 3 feet away, or if you're more than 3 feet away. And Elsie invented it herself. So the first thing we learn is that she's an inventor. She's super smart. And then Amari asks about like whether or not they have other roommates. But Elsie says that there were 2 other girls and they requested a transfer because she is a dragon. And so I already stand Bayana Rodriguez.
This is when Bayana was like,
it's so funny. Like, I definitely remember reading that and being like, "Oh, wait, for real?" Like, I was like, "You got a dragon in this thing?" Y'all know how I feel about dragons. I love them very much. But she's not
like the prospect of having a roommate
dragon.
as a were-dragon. Like your roommate is a were-dragon.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Is
like,
a
I'm sure you
were-dragon.
were just like. Now that's something new. Now that's something. Yeah.
Do you though? I mean, we figure out that Elsie, as far as where dragons go, is pretty harmless. But like Amari, don't know what.
But Amari, if Amari's chill about it, then we can be chill about it.
Yeah. she's chill about it, and I also think so. Like, we kind of learn a little bit more about Elsie's like backstory. Like
Yes.
her parents. Well, first of all, were-dragons have been considered extinct for like 500 years. And so she's the last of her kind because like there was some egg that got found in a deep sea shipwreck, and once they pulled it out, she was hatched because they can't hatch without sunlight. So she was like her egg was laid like 500 over 500 years ago. She is, but she's not, because she was definitely hatched like 12 years ago. And there's like a dragon expert from the Department of Creature Control became her legal guardian. And also they're supposed to shift like a lot younger, but she still has not shifted at all. So the Bureau has deemed her essentially human, and then like kind of lets her, now she can join the Bureau. So but like so kind of what we find out is that these girls, they decided they didn't want to be her roommate because they're like, oh, we don't want to wake up and find a dragon snacking on their legs. But Amari is kind of like, she is in a position where she knows what it means to be judged before people actually get to know her, and having these like preconceived notions. So I think for her, she's like, okay, I'm gonna keep an open mind. I don't know what a were-dragon is. Like, you gotta let me know. And so I think it's just like a really nice moment for them to, like for them to make friends, for both of them,
Yeah.
And
I love the idea of like them, like, it's one thing, I don't know how, because college is really good about this, like, roommates and dorm mates, people that I met my first day of college, I'm still close with and friends with. Maybe it's just like shared trauma, I don't know. But like, there is this like really great sense of like immediate like kindred spirits, because they are and have been isolated, so they can see and recognize themselves in each other. And like, Amari knows no one. She's coming in completely blind. Elsie knows about the world, but like no one is comfortable to like get close to her, so she's been alone. And so I love the way that he like sets this up. Yeah, it's also like weird because I don't know how to say this correct. You should not judge people until you get to know them. And I do love that Amari's like, tell me, what does that entail? Or she's like, nah, get me out of here. But there's also a little bit of like if my roommate was a werewolf, may not be the most comfortable.
But also, I feel like if you're in a place that's like this place that's like designed to keep supernatural beings safe, then they would have, what's the word, like safeguards around that, right?
I would agree with you, except the fact that Mari's here because her brother is like, I just don't trust the Bureau.
Yes, but I mean, like, yes, but the situation like of him being missing. Yes, but what I'm saying is, like, if you did have a werewolf for whether they like work or not, but I could assume like if you had a werewolf for a roommate, then when the full moon comes, they're like, all right, you go come over here. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta stay in the in this other room by myself until my change is through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, like we said, like they declared her essentially human. She hasn't shifted at all. So yeah. On the note, but I think it's also just like, oh, go ahead.
On the note of Amari and Elsie bonding through their similarities, I feel like the poetry in it is that like Amari was isolated as being the only like scholarship person in her class, and who had like Quentin, who was like the one before her, who was her brother, and like having that being in his shadow. So she kind of has like that isolated experience of being one of, and she sees that in Elsie as well, of being the last of her kind. Um, and so I think there's multiple levels to it. And I think that you can already see Amari kind of like pushing back at like injustices that she feels like they're unfair. So I think that probably overwhelms any sense of like possible fear, because she showed fear in the car, which like, annoyed me, of like not being like judgy of people. Like when she's in the car and she saw the woman with the Medusa hair, the woman was giving her mom the right of way, but she was still scared to look at the woman in her eye. Like it's like that's a stereotype. That's like prejudging on people. So it's interesting that like she has a level of like wariness about the supernatural world, but it is not so much that like it can't be pushed back by getting to know the people who inhabit it. So I think there's a level of that going on here as well. It's not just that like does have some like concern and she's voicing it to a bit, but she's not so concerned that it's like overwhelming her. And I think hearing about the other girls rejecting Elsie puts her on her soapbox of like, no, that's injustice kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's the idea, and I'm not trying to say that Amari should reject Elsie. What I'm saying is that, like, the thing that makes kind of Amari special is that I think it's fine if your instinct says, were-dragon, I'm out. But Amari is able to say, like, tell me about that. You know what I mean? And then hears from Elsie and then gets the story and then makes a decision. But I do think that sets Amari up as special, or more open-minded and more, adventurous. She's out here. I was gone at the AI elevator. I was gone before the elevator, let's be honest. Like, I've been gone. But I think that, like, it's a natural reaction to hear something scary and just, like, not give anyone, like we talked about, like, I think last episode or whatever, like, context, right? Context is important, especially when you're making these, like, big decisions. And I think that this shows what makes Amari kind of special, and not so special, like, I don't think you should be applauded for. I think everyone should, like, not ignore your base fears, but, like, take in as much information as possible before you reject someone or reject a circumstance. But I do understand, as someone who is scary as hell, immediately rejecting a circumstance and not waiting for more information. So, like, I feel like that's like a terrible experience for Elsie, and I feel really bad for her. But I also don't think that it is 100% the same as like what Amari deals with at her school at Jefferson, because she is essentially a were-dragon. You know, at it. But that's all. Nuance.
Word. Okay, so now they're friends, and friends don't eat friends, dragon or not, which I think was really cute. So then we find out that, well, first Amari notices like Elsie has like this wall covered in pictures. It's giving Robyn circa 2001. In all the pictures, and like, oh, I'm a huge fan. It's not shade, it's just that's what it's giving.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
No. Am I ashamed?
Okay. I didn't say you needed to be. I'm just saying that's what it's giving.
Okay. I was thinking I heard some judgment in there.
So it's a bunch. She's the biggest fan of Vanquish. So they've got action figures, rare junior agent editions, t-shirts, blankets, coffee mugs, posters. And Amari is like, Vanquish. I've never heard of this. I don't know what this is. It's a nickname for two of the most famous agents in the last 50 years, Maria Van Helsing and Amari's brother Quentin. So it's like a
Giving
mashup of
BTS,
their
giving K-pop, or
yeah. It's a very
me
similar.
in the
Or you in
late
early
90s,
2000s.
early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just like, which I think is so interesting because it's like they're not singing, you know? Like it's very
Right.
much giving like boy
They're
band
just like doing their
fandom.
job. Like
But yeah, but their
fandom in
name is
everyday
their
life.
Vanquish. Exactly. And they single-handedly defeated the last surviving Night Brother, which was the biggest arrest in centuries.
Okay,
And
wait. I want to know.
so before Amari
just want
can,
to.
oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to laugh at like the fact that Amari doubles over laughing because there's just no way that her dorky big brother is a celebrity. And
Oh yeah,
I feel like the name Vanquish is a Quentin thing because he's such a dork in the way that he like his password is Amari Amazing and all these like random like cute but also kind of corny kind of things. Like Vanquish
Pinky
seems like it's like right
swear,
up his
promise.
alley. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
it's very
that
corny.
like I love that it like this all lives up to like Quentin is just as much as a dork as he is to Amari as he is a celebrity to this world. Like it's just hilarious like how the sibling shade does not go away even more that she learns about his celebrity status. She's like, this
She literally
This
has
man.
like not a
for
single
real?
moment of like awe of like, oh my god, like wow. She's just immediately
Right.
like, y'all have all lost your mind. Like you don't know this world. You don't know what Quentin has done or
Yeah.
can do. She was immediately like, no, this makes no sense.
Have you not seen this man
That's
around
ridiculous.
baby spiders? Like what?
So yeah, so then she like Elsie shows her all these magazines with them on the cover. And so there's just like this whole thing. Amari's like, while I was spending my summers doing cannonballs at the community rec center pool, Quentin was out saving the world. So it's just like more proof, or just like, you know, clearly there are a lot of things that she doesn't know about him. So then she asks Elsie like if she knows anything about what happened to Quentin, and Elsie's like, no one knows. They vanished without a trace, like both of them. And the Bureau has not been giving any information about it. They consider Vanquish missing in action, and everything about the investigation is confidential. And so like this is one of those things where like it's kind of why you don't make fandom out of like
Real people.
law enforcement, you know, real people. Just like not that other like not that like boy bands and stuff aren't real people, but it's just like they become so high profile,
Yeah.
and then they go
They become
missing,
targets.
and
Yeah.
then you have this huge fandom, become targets, but then also you have this huge fandom around them that like now they don't know anything and can't know anything about the disappearance or what happened. Like it's just weird. And like it kind of also
Yeah,
makes
but
sense why
also
Amari and her mom never got any answers, because nobody's getting any answers.
Yeah.
But also like that they still should have got some answers because they're the family. But it's also like interesting because it's like you would think that given it's like supernatural affairs and it's all kind of clandestine, that they wouldn't give this level of celebrity to any agents because they would like they want them to be able to like be spies
Do
a
their
bit
work.
Yeah, do their job.
And so it's real interesting that they lauded like again. I think it's the indoctrination of the Bureau being this like very prestigious kind of area, and they're kind of upholding the reputation of it all. Like that this is like a celebrity that's making it more like modern for the kids and the Gen alphas to look up to at this point or whatever, because they're influencers in this world. But it's also just like it's extremely messed up. There's so many reasons to not have law enforcement have this kind of profile, but that's also a reason as well.
Yeah.
So Amari is kind of like not discouraged, but just like, it's going to be harder than she thinks because it's a secret even here. It's like not even just being in the bureau can she find something out. She's going to have to do a lot more work to figure out what happened to her brother. So Elsie's like, why don't we turn on some music? It'll cheer you up. So she pulls out this radio that she built herself. When she first turns it on, it's like too loud. So then they're kind of worried that they're going to get caught by Bertha, but nothing happens. They turn it back on at a lower volume. And then we find out that there have been attacks across the US and Europe. And there are, so like, it's not music, it's just like some news station. And it is saying that, like, with one Night Brother dead and the other one locked up, there's like all these like rumblings about a new magician being around, which is the first time we've heard about magicians. We don't know what they are and what that is. So Elsie kind of explains that they are humans who have real magic. So like we talked about before, Robyn was asking, like, everyone, it seems, in this world has potential for magic. And then whether or not you're in the bureau, like if you're in the bureau, then you're like allowed to access like the amount that you have. But magicians have way more and can use it for way more. And we kind of find out that they're considered evil because the Night Brothers were both magicians and waged war on the entire supernatural world. So it's like, I don't know, we're like finding out. I guess we're just seeing how like the bureau and the like supernatural world does mimic, or there are a lot of parallels to the known world in terms of like prejudices and what's allowed. And it's just like, how can somebody who's born with like, or have this huge magic potential, like, not be allowed? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just like,
yeah, it's also one of those
lots
things
of
where
little
when you're born and people just consider you evil for something you have no control over and ostracize you for something you have no control over, it seems pretty clear and almost inevitable that you would then turn around and be bitter and rage war, because like the only thing that you can do, like, you're, as soon as they figure out what you're capable of, you're basically a criminal for nothing more than just existing.
Exactly.
Or you have to like hide yourself. And so and in like hiding yourself or kind of shrinking yourself, right? Not being able to reach your full potential, like obviously you're going to be resentful and antagonistic towards people who are stopping you from doing that. Like, it feels very clear to me that, like, are they evil because they're magicians, or are they evil because you've deemed them evil before they even got to make that choice or have done any actions to put them on that path, you know? The magician of prison pipeline is basically what I'm saying.
But also the thing the main thing is that you want people to adhere to a certain system of magical use, and if they don't adhere to that system of magical use, then they're outlaws. And that is something that has to be like better like questioned in society that is not, which is so interesting to me because they've all kind of like been indoctrinated by like, oh, the right way is the system that is set up by the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, without being like more thoughtful to like, but what does it mean for this to be the only way? Like, and this is the only right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Bertha shows up and yells at them for still being awake. So they're like, all right, guess we got to get in bed.
And it's probably what, like 7 o'clock now?
Right.
Failed so hard.
She should have yelled, I'm hungry!
Elsie... Give me some food!
Dinner! Child abuse! Okay.
So then Elsie brings up there's a badge test tomorrow, and she was like, my overall potential rose really high on the badge tester, so I felt pretty good. And Amari thinks back to how hers shattered. And when she explains it to Elsie, Elsie's like, that means you've got so much potential, the badge tester can't contain it. I bet you're going to get a Moonstone badge, which was not on the chart, but that's because they're very rare. And it also turns out Quentin had a Moonstone badge too. But this kind of like makes Amari nervous because, again, she's being compared to her brother and like having to worry about living up to him and his like legacy. And also not feeling like she's much like him at all. And then Elsie, so Elsie's like, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And we kind of find out that part of her powers as a were-dragon is that she can sense people's like emotions and auras, which is like a cool little power to have. I mess with were-dragons. But yeah, so Elsie's kind of like, I really do think you could be a hero, and Amari's like, I'm here to save my brother, and I'm not trying to do all that. And so yeah, that's kind of where we leave it. Elsie goes to sleep, but Amari doesn't sleep much, but that makes sense because it's only 7:00. I bet it's still light outside. It's summertime, sun's still out. Hate that for them.
Are they in a different time zone? I'm thinking that like time changed.
They're still in Atlanta. They're still in the Atlanta area now.
They're still in Atlanta.
But
yeah, they're still in Atlanta.
It's not a. I don't think it's a portal. It's not a portal. They're just underground.
I think it's
like
I think it's because they're underground. There's no natural light where they are.
I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of going to bed at 7.
It's up there. They're underground.
Even if you're 12, go to bed at like 8 or 9, right? Yeah.
Probably not.
When I was 12, I was going to bed at like 12 or 1 a.m.
Not 1.
I was sent to bed. Did I go to sleep? No. First off, my dad worked night, so I was awake until he got home. Secondly, 9? Who goes to bed at 9? My brain is finally making sense.
I don't think I ever went to bed at 9 unless I like was exhausted. But yeah, I've been
going to bed at 9 a lot more. I've gone to bed at 9 a lot more at my big age than I ever did when I was 12.
When I was younger, I think because I would stay up reading books, even if it's like by flashlight, I'd be reading books until my eyes got tired enough for me to go to sleep. That was my bedtime.
That's when I went to bed. When my eyes were like, you know what, it's a wrap. But it doesn't make any sense. So I was trying to make it make sense. 7:00 is not.
Yeah. That's too early. All right. MVP. I said Elsie. She's a were-dragon. And also because she just seems like she's a nice person and like somebody that Amari needs in her corner. Like she needs friends. And we haven't yet seen, we saw like that quick moment with Jaden, but we haven't really seen her like hang out with anyone really. So yeah. But mostly because she's a were-dragon.
So for me, her being a were-dragon was a cool, exciting, like fun fact, but it wasn't the reason why she's MVP. I made Elsie my MVP because she's the first person that like truly attempts to make Amari feel welcome. And there's something about kids meeting and making friends in 2 seconds that I find so adorable. Like I remember like when I used to take Aminata to the playground and she would just go stand next to kids awkwardly, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, do you want to play with me? And she'd be like, yes. And then they'd be best friends, and then they'd know each other's whole life stories, and like it all happened so fast. And so I also love that, like, and even in this world, and Amari's terrified and everything like that, like the first person that makes her feel welcome, the first person that like she knows that she's going to spend some amount of time with, they're going to be roommates, and they are like fast friends. I love that.
I too made Elsie my MVP, also because of friendship. However, what I really kind of like dug into here was how much their friendship was built on like affirmation and reading each other's moods and honesty. And because Elsie has the ability to read auras, she's able to notice that after she spoke to Amari about not knowing where Quentin is, she's like, oh, let's cheer you up. Amari didn't say anything about being sad, but she could read her aura and was like, oh, this one wants me to cheer you up. And when she mentions that she built the radio using spare parts, Amari affirms her by saying, oh, you're brilliant. And so they keep going back and forth being affirmative to each other, which I find like so heartwarming. And then when Elsie later shares that she can read Amari's aura when she's lying about how she feels, because she's trying to kind of like build confidence into herself, even when she's not feeling any. And Elsie's basically like, you don't have to do all that. Like, I can tell you right now, like I can read auras, I can tell how you're feeling. Amari doesn't like being read in the moment, but I think that she comes to like feel a little bit better about the moment, like how abrasive she was in reaction to it, and like want to apologize to Elsie because of like how Elsie was honest with her about her ability to do that, and the fact that she read Amari true feelings, and she was being very careful with her feelings. She wasn't being like, oh, I can read your aura, so I know you're lying. Like, she was really just trying to be there for Amari when Amari needed someone. So I just thought that Elsie was like the best kind of friend that Amari could have.
And also the best person we've met in the Bureau so far.
Yeah.
I mean, low bar, let's be honest. But
Right.
like,
Yes,
she's still,
low bar.
she is still like objectively a good person.
And she's also
Yes,
like not
yes.
really like a part of the Bureau yet, technically.
Yeah.
So she hasn't been
she knows about it because she's a supernatural being.
part of
like,
it.
She's,
yeah.
No, yeah, but she was, it does not work for
her
them.
guardian.
She's not
yeah.
corrupted by it yet.
She hasn't been part of like the system and like molded and shaped yet.
Yeah. And she's not in the inner, like, you know,
circles.
Yeah, she's kind of considered like an anomaly or a what do you call it? Like a party trick type. I don't know what the word is, but like she's a sensation. What is that called? A
spectacle.
Spectacle. Thank you. So even then, she's not like fully integrated into the Bureau so much as she's just like this, like, you know.
Yeah. Benched.
I benched Lucy and all of her AI elevated brethren and all of the AI that is in the world, and I just benched them on the principle of like constant vigilance and the robot apocalypse, and I don't need no machine giving me advice on my appearance because you don't have a
Who
body,
asked
ma'am.
you? Who asked
exactly you don't know nothing about this life. You don't know what it's like to have a beard unless you programmed one. This is not Smart House. Take me to the floor and like let's leave the commentary out of it, please. But also don't kill me. Don't kill me. It's important. That has nothing to do with the story and my own personal belief. But
right.
Yes, we know it's fine.
Ada really started like Ada was like the beginning and the end of you ever.
Ada ruined me, broke me. I still have not watched this season finale.
Really,
I'll get
that's
to
hilarious.
it. I'll get to it. She broke me.
I binged the Supernatural Investigation execs because how are you not gonna have at least something for someone? Like Amari said, someone knows something. You don't have anything for freaking Quentin's like where he is. You don't have anything to give the family at least an understanding of like, do you consider him alive or dead? Is there someone working on the case that they can contact? You don't have anything. So that was one of my things, and then generally just like things feel real shoddy, and I feel like they're the ones to blame, and I feel like this feeling is probably going to grow, so I feel like they're the right people to target for how I'm feeling about Quentin, how they allowed his figure to be promoted in the world, and how they've like not been held accountable to actually give anybody any real information.
I binged Bertha for acting like she was major pain. Like, I just need her to relax. Like, you were in charge of children, ma'am. Like, you don't have to be this, like, intense. But yeah,
I
she's
need to
just like
rewatch
not
Major
making
Payne
Amari
now.
feel welcome at all. Like, she's just not making anyone feel welcome. And like, I feel like at the start of a camp, that's maybe what you should be setting out to do. But
Also, like,
I
why
guess
is this
not.
your job? Like, what job were you vying for, and this is where you landed? Because you clearly don't want to be here.
Right.
She want to be a special agent. You see the way she
That's what I'm
stood up
saying.
straight
That's what I'm
She
saying.
saluted.
when Magnus rolled up.
That's what I'm saying.
Paul Blart
Yeah.
Mall cop over here.
I mean, I guess we all have to start somewhere, but girl, this is not it for you. I can tell. Well, thank you all for listening. Join us next week when we discuss Chapter 9.
Wizard Team is brought to you by Black Nerds Create. If you want to keep up with our other content, you can check out our website at blacknerdscreate.com. Follow us on Twitter, if it still exists, at BLK Nerds Create, at Yana Wrote It, at Robyn_Rambles, and at Porshèa. We are also on Instagram at Black Nerds Create and Tumblr at Black Nerds Create. And you can subscribe to our monthly magic newsletter. And don't forget to rate and review us wherever you listen to this podcast. Enjoy this podcast? Want to hear more like it? Take our community survey. Your feedback is invaluable as we plan for 2023 and beyond.